Welcome to RGTV. I'm RGSource, and this is going to be my review for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Spoilers ahead. First of all, I'd just like to say this film is going to do 700 mil easy. I mean, there's nothing really to challenge it. Marvel movies are crap nowadays, as we know, and DC isn't going to be putting anything out other than Blue Beetle, which is going to flop, and nothing can dethrone this except for maybe, I don't know, Oppenheimer, which our review will be coming out on that one as well once I see it. This film is great because there's no agenda, and there's no trying to push the message, and it's just a good film. It's like Top Gun Maverick. It's just a good film, and it's just here to entertain. And I don't know if this is starting a trend or something, but when I was in the theater, they did another thing where it's Tom Cruise and the director saying, "Hey, thanks for coming to see our film," and I guess people liked when he did that for Top Gun, so it's like, hey, why not do it now? It's good. Let's start off with the cons, okay? I'm upset that Ilsa died. I'm really upset. And they're trying to replace her with Haley Atwell's character, Grace. I don't even know if that's her real name, because when Ethan meets her, it's just like, oh, let's say Grace. So that's probably not her real name, but whatever. Also, the villain is kind of a problem. I mean, no one can top Philip Seymour Hoffman in the third one, but kind of retconning this guy in to be like, oh, this guy is the reason that Ethan joined the IMF, and also the AI thing. It kind of works because today there's a lot of like ChatGPT and all this stuff, but it's kind of annoying. That's like, oh yeah, it's an AI. It's become sentient. It's like, also Haley Atwell's character kind of bothers me, not because she's like or anything, but just because that once again they're trying to shield her as the replacement for Ilsa when Ilsa was already the best character and one of my favorites, and they decided to kill her off. I mean, I personally don't think she's dead because no one ever stays dead in franchises like this. So I guess we're gonna have to wait until part 2. But until that time, she's dead for now, and I'm upset that they decided to kill her off. Okay, those are my only problems with it. Now let's go on to the pros. First of all, the Tom Cruise run is back, which I'm happy about. I mean, who doesn't enjoy the Tom Cruise run? Okay, jokes aside here. The action is amazing. You got it on a train, which is the finale.
Also the airport sequence and the White Widow party sequence.
It's kind of hard to understand because the AI is the MacGuffin thing that they're chasing. Also the key to unlock the AI's source code or whatever. That's what they're chasing, and they're trying to keep it out of the wrong hands. And Ethan wants to destroy it, but Kittredge, who we haven't seen since the first movie, and the U.S. want it for themselves, and so does every other government. And I like how they characterized Vanessa Kirby's character in this one, because it's like, oh, she can give it to the bad guy, who's okay. I mean, no one can top Philip Seymour Hoffman from the third one, but he's all right. But I don't like that they kind of retconned him in to be the reason that Ethan joined the IMF in the first place. It's kind of weird, but that's my only issue with him. He's a good villain, and because he has the AI on his side, he can hide from cameras, and he can basically predict everything, every outcome, because that's the AI is helping him to do that or whatever. It's really interesting, and that's what makes him an interesting villain. But so far, he's only killed Ilsa. That's all he's done, and I'm upset about that again. But we don't know what happens to him because Ethan gets the key from him and switches it out with his lighter, and he screams, and it's like, okay, so obviously he's gonna be seeing the sequel because he survives, but he's not as terrible as Dougray Scott, but he's not as good as Henry Cavill or Sean Harris. Speaking, Solomon Lane survived the last movie, and I don't know where he is in this one. Maybe he'll show up in a brief scene at the very end of the second part of this. I don't know. I'm upset because he was one of my favorite villains of Mission Impossible.
Leak here. After doing some research, I was able to find that the director said a character from Fallout will return in part 2. This could be Solomon Lane or someone else, so it's still a possibility.
No, he's not the only Mission Impossible villain to have survived. Now this guy's on the list, obviously. Okay, enough about that. As I was saying, the action is amazing. We open on just on this Russian sub, and they're tracking another sub that's fired a torpedo. So they fire a torpedo, but that sub was a decoy, so their own torpedo comes back and hits them, and that was all the AI just screwing with them. But now that sub is what they gotta find to find the actual source code for the AI to like destroy it. And yeah, I part 1 and 2 things, like 2 parts are kind of a trend now. You see it with this, you see it with Spider-Verse, you see it with Fast and Furious.
I am kind of getting sick of them. It's annoying to have to wait a year for cliffhangers, but then again people had to wait for Star Wars and Lord of the Rings.
Then again, these are doing really well, and I don't think studios are going to see the success and say, "Hey, let's not do that." I mean, except for Disney. The airport scene, the opening is also like a really good one. It's actually I put it up there with like some of the best Mission Impossible action sequences. I think number 1 would be the final train fight from the first one for me, but that's just me. Anyway, this one ends on a train as well, and I like the subtle callback to the first one. And you get a lot of callbacks to the first one as well. Like you get like a reference to Max from the first one, and in this one you can actually see different locations of the world. It's not like Rise of the Beasts where it's like, oh yeah, this is this location. Oh, actually we're gonna go to this forest you never ever heard of, and then we're just gonna. It's like, oh, trees and crap. No, here you can actually see like Rome and Dubai and Venice and all these places, and it's like, wow, they actually shot here, and it's not in front of a green screen like Marvel. And Tom Cruise does his own stunts again, which is another pro. And he did the when he does the bike jump. I knew it was coming, obviously, because they like promoted it a lot in the trailers and like for the marketing. But when it does happen, it's like, wow, you cannot believe that he did his own stunts because he could have died, really. This movie has once again saved the summer box office. I guess Tom Cruise once again saved the summer box office by just making a good film with no overworked VFX artists, no green screen, no agenda pushing, no boring plot about stupid identity politics, and no, most importantly. So, yeah, well, Mission Impossible 7 is a good one in my books. I just have a few problems with it, but like, maybe they'll disappear by part 2. Who knows? Okay, on to the roles here. Tom Cruise is, as always, great as Ethan Hunt. Haley Atwell, she does good as Grace, and it's nice to see her get a role other than just Peggy Carter, and she's not insufferable and has to one up Ethan on everything. And once you actually see that just because there's a new girl character in the movie, that she doesn't have to one up the main character on everything, because she really doesn't.
One thing though, why does it seem that only one woman can be on the team at a time? Seriously, they didn't have to kill Ilsa just to have a new girl on the team.
Ving Rhames does good as Luther. Simon Pegg is funny as Benji. Rebecca Ferguson doesn't have much to work with. She doesn't even have that many lines. And she dies about, like, at the end of Act 1, I would say. Maybe it was Act 2. I can't really tell. But I'm upset they killed her off. Maybe she's alive. I don't know. Vanessa Kirby does good as the White Widow, especially in her scenes where it's like supposed to be Haley Atwell impersonating her. You can tell that she actually worked hard. S.M. Morales, he's a good actor, but he's not the best Mission Impossible villain, but he's not the worst either. Pom Klementieff, she's not given much to work with. She only speaks French with the few lines she does have. And they say that she's alive at the end, so maybe we'll see her in part 2. I don't know. There's more to explore there. And also, she's not cool either. It's nice to see Henry Czerny back as Kittredge. He is doing... You can see he's having fun with the role after so many years. I don't know how many years, but like so many years. Shea Wingham as Briggs and Greg Tarzan Davis as they're the two guys chasing Ethan throughout the whole thing. They play well off each other when they're having a conversation about how Ethan actually does this all the time. And there's a few cameos like Carrie Ells, Charles Purnell, Mark Gannis, Rob Delaney. They don't have much screen time. They're only there for a bit. Half of them are only in one scene, but that's alright, you know. I was upset that Carrie Ells died because I would have liked to see more of him, but whatever, I guess he's dead now. You know, this is a crazy theory, but I'm just going to put that out there. I'm wondering if Solomon Lang might be behind the entity. Probably not, but like, it'd be cool if he was, because he, once again, this is a complaint of mine. We saw him survive at the end of Fallout. Maybe he was taken to prison or something, but like, I'm just hoping that like, we get a bit of closure as to where exactly he is, and maybe that comes in part 2, even if it is a brief scene, who knows. Anyway, Mission Impossible 7, I'm glad to report, is one that I recommend to any of you. Go see it, go support it, and hopefully we can reach 1 billion like Top Gun. Who knows? And also, just I have one thing to say. Yeah, don't go see Indiana Jones. Please, we need it to bomb. We need Kathleen Kennedy fired. I am not going to watch that. I'm not going to review that. Oh, and also, I should say, I'm not going to review Secret Invasion until the whole series is out, because so then I can quickly binge it and like see how crap it is. And by the way, I can hear it's crap. My prediction: Emilia Clarke cucks Nick Fury. That's my prediction. Anyway, until that time, my friends, this is Argisaurus signing off.
Stay tuned for the Oppenheimer review. Like and subscribe.